Welcome to the Endpoints podcast, presented by the ALS Therapy Development Institute. I'm Jonathan Gang. In 2018, ALS TDI began working on a big collaboration with a partner you've probably heard of, Google. At the time, Google was looking to put their artificial intelligence technology to use to help develop better speech recognition software for people with conditions that affect their ability to talk. ALS TDI was the perfect partner to launch this effort with, already having collected a wealth of voice recordings as part of our precision medicine program. Thus, Project Euphonia was born. Utilizing our PMP data, Google researchers began working to train their AI speech recognition tools to better understand people with ALS-affected speech, as well as other conditions. Today, this collaboration is beginning to bear fruit with the early testing of Project Relate, the first app made available to the public from Project Euphonia. Today, on Endpoints, we're joined by Google's Julie Catillot, a product manager for Project Euphonia, to tell us about the history of this collaboration, what people can expect from the new app, and what might be coming in the future.
Cool. And can you tell me, just sort of in basic terms, what is Project Euphonia, and what are kind of the origins of it?
Sure. Okay. Project Euphonia is a research initiative at Google that aims to improve communication for people who have impaired speech due to conditions such as, for example, ALS. So initially, the research was focused on ALS. The origin of the project is actually a collaboration with ALS TDI. Back in 2018, some researchers at Google partnered up with ALS TDI and specifically looked at the data from the precision medicine program to try to evaluate whether we could detect ALS early on thanks to speech samples. And back then, the engineers who were working on this project thought, hold on a second, if we have those speech samples, could we actually do more with it? Could we try to help people communicate more easily by improving the accuracy of speech recognition for them? So the research was initially focused on ALS because of this collaboration with ALS TDI. And so we were trying to make speech recognition work better for people who have ALS. But then in 2019, we actually opened up the program to other conditions that can impact someone's speech, such as stroke, traumatic brain injury, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and more. So the one thing that happened in 2019 is that we announced at Google I/O a crowdsourced data collection program where anyone who has impaired speech and is an English speaker could contribute speech samples to the program. And as of today, over 1,000 people with a variety of speech conditions have contributed over 1 million utterances to the Euphonia data collection program.
Can you say anything else about how the collaboration with ALS TDI came about originally?
Yeah, there's a team in Google Research called Google Accelerated Science that is interested in looking at science problems and thinking about how AI can help solve those problems. There's a lot of really interesting work that is being done there. And in particular, Michael Brenner, who is a researcher and a professor at Harvard as well, works in that team. And he was connected to Fernando from ALS TDI and got this idea to look at some of the data from the precision medicine program to help think about how ALS can be diagnosed more easily thanks to speech samples, and how basically the idea was to apply AI techniques to early detection of ALS. That was the initial idea, and that was in 2018, and a collaboration between Google and ALS TDI. I personally wasn't really involved back then, but I joined the team in July 2018 after after the pivot towards speech recognition as a focus point for the project.
And kind of on that note, I guess, can you maybe sort of in basic terms talk about how AI speech recognition works and why it was so important in order to make it work better for people with speech impairments, why it was important to get them to contribute?
Basically, so speech recognition technology relies on machine learning techniques, which means that we essentially, quote unquote, train a machine learning model to recognize people when they're speaking and transcribe it in real time. And so such technology actually requires a lot of training data. Basically a lot of examples of what people sound like when they speak, together with the transcription of what they said, which we also call labels. So in the case of speech recognition, back in 2019, Google announced a new technology, which we called on-device speech recognition, which means that engineers managed to basically squeeze speech recognition technology on a mobile phone. So the speech recognition models are small enough to fit on a mobile device and to run without any need for an internet connection or for, a model running on a server. And so that was actually a big breakthrough at Google back in 2019, and it opened the doors of personalization from the perspective of our project. Because if you think about it, each individual with a mobile phone can download the speech recognition model and run it on their device. And so our idea was we could add a step to that, personalize the model to their unique speech patterns. And then that way they can use their own speech recognizer that is fully personalized to them, and only they have access to it. So the big advancement in 2019 that allowed Project Euphonia to happen is actually on-device speech recognition. And so one interesting thing about this technology is that there's two parts to it. Each speech recognition, so the speech recognition models at Google have two parts. One part is a language model. So that part of the algorithm learns things like grammar, vocabulary, everything about English, basically. And it learns those rules so that when it makes prediction about what you just said, it's it makes sense. It's real English, that someone might say, and not some made up words. So there's a language model in the speech recognition engine, and there's also an acoustic model, which that's the part that we actually personalize for Euphonia. We don't change anything to the language model. We look at the acoustic model, and instead of using the acoustic model that has been trained on millions of examples of quote unquote typical voices, we actually take it and personalize it for an individual person, providing some speech samples that they have recorded. So for example, we have worked with a lot of trusted testers from the ALS TDI community. One of them is Andrea Pitt, who has been involved with the Euphonia project from day one. She recorded a couple of thousands of speech samples for Project Euphonia. And so we were able to personalize a speech recognition model for her that works much better than the out-of-the-box speech recognition technology that anyone can access, for example, when they speak to the Google Assistant. So that's roughly how it works. And like any machine learning project, it requires data in order to work. And that's why we started the Euphonia data collection program with ALS TDI in 2018.
Awesome. And then, so I guess we can move on to one of sort of the practical applications of this project, which is Project Relate, which I believe is it the first app that's come out of Project Euphonia? Yeah, can you tell me just a little bit about what it is and what it's designed to help people to do?
Yeah, sounds good. So Project Relate is the first app we launch, and it basically has two main goals. The first one is to help people who have speech impairments due to a condition to communicate more easily. So there are some features in the app that allows someone to, for example, transcribe their speech as they're speaking, or to repeat after them in a clear computerized voice. So these features are designed to help people communicate. And the other goal of the app is independence. So we've worked with a lot of trusted testers over the year, and we know that oftentimes people will have the types of conditions that can cause speech to be impaired, sometimes also have mobility impairments. And so we want to make sure that they have access to tools such as the Google Assistant or smart speakers to be able to do tasks such as closing the door, turning the lights on and off, or playing some music using their voice and without necessarily having to stand up or ask for help. So to achieve those two goals, our approach has been to make speech technology work better, to personalize it for each individual, and to, as a result, allow them to access this kind of technology every day. And so our solution that we recently announced and launched in November is called Project Relate. It's an Android mobile app available upon invitation only as of now. And for the Relate app to work, people have to start by spending a bit of time recording some phrases. So there's a set of phrases that appears on cards on the mobile app. And everyone who starts using the app starts by recording some phrases. And then once the recording process is done, the app will use those examples to personalize itself and to basically learn to better understand the user. Once this is complete, there are several features that become available in the app. One is called Listen and transcribes everything the person using the app is saying in real time. There's also Repeat, which repeats after the user of the app in a clear computerized voice. And there's also an assistant feature, which allows our users to say commands to the Google Assistant, and they will have a better chance to be well understood because of the personalization of the mobile app.
Yeah, and then you've alluded to this a little bit already, but can you kind of say how people who are interested in participating can sign up and become testers?
Yeah, absolutely. So for people who are interested in testing the Project Relate app, so the criteria of eligibility are the following. We're looking for English-speaking trusted testers in the US and Canada. And we're looking for trusted testers who have speech that has been affected by ALS or another condition. And also people who are above 18-year-old for now. The way to sign up and to express interest in testing the app is to visit g.co/Project Relate. There's an interest form at that list. And so please fill it out and definitely mention that you heard about Project Relate through ALS TDI so that we can keep an eye on your application.
So it's only available on Android now. Are there plans to make it available on other devices?
So the Relate app is currently only available on Android. We're planning to gather feedback from our trusted testers on Android first and make the app as good as we can. And we're certainly hoping in the future to also bring the app to iOS. But currently, there's no plans that I can communicate, unfortunately. But yes, that's actually something we hear a lot. A lot of people ask for iOS. So we definitely realize the importance of expanding to this platform as well.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the other projects that are going on under the umbrella of Euphonia?
So yeah, another project that we're working on as part of Project Euphonia is voice imitation, which we also call custom text-to-speech. So this is in the research phase, so there's no application like Project Relate available, but we have collaborated with teams in Google AI and DeepMind to find ways to help recreate the voice of people who have ALS. And we've worked with Tim Shaw, who is a former NFL linebacker and who had basically recordings of his voice because of radio interviews, and also he had his own show, so he had all those recordings. And so we use those examples of what he used to sound like to recreate his voice. We actually did a documentary with Tim, which is available on YouTube, called Age of AI, where you can hear what the synthesized voice we created for Tim sounds like. We also worked with Steve Gleason more recently on recreating his voice for Lou Gehrig's Day. But I should add that this work at this point is mostly research and there's no product available, but that's something that we would really like to offer in the future for people who have ALS and have banked their voice, and then we can use those recordings to recreate their voice the way it used to sound like. And by the way, I should mention another recent something that we also launched recently as part of Project Euphonia is an app called Activate. It's designed for people who might not be able to speak or move anymore. So the Activate app is an Android app that recognizes some gestures. For example, if you smile, open your mouth, or raise your eyebrows, and then maps those gestures to actions. For example, send a message or do something like that, so that you can, for example, call for help or applications like that. So that's called Project Activate, and it's available on the Play Store today.
Great. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to chat today.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I hope this is helpful to you.
To sign up to test Project Relate, visit g.co/Project Relate. To learn more about ALS TDI's research to end ALS, go to als.net. Thanks for listening.